Hey everybody, this is Tony Tominick and
Jerry Spencer.
we're here for our third version of a moment of history or two, and we're continuing our ride on the Lakeshore Electric Railway. We stopped at last at stop 45. So Sherry, our next one has to be stop 46.
No, we're just going to go right on over to stop 48. I'll tell you what, I'm glad you're sitting in the baggage car because that seat's going to be hard. Where I am, I'm in the luxury car.
It's nice.
Comfy, but, even still, it's a long ride. So
you know what? No, those things went 60 miles an hour, so they hardly even got up to speed in between these stops because they were just basically stop and start,
Well, and keep in mind, too, that they didn't have to stop at every single stop on every single trip. It was just when someone sounded the bell that they wanted to get off.
That's true.
So
how many people really want to stop at stop 47?
I don't know of any, but I don't want to offend. So I'm not gonna let that go.
Okay, go.
All right. But we're just gonna at least slow down, pause, and look out the window at stop 48. Okay. Because this is the Beck farm. And this is a nice farm. A nice farm, and they had a road named after their family. And, I kind of am interested in Fred Beck because he had chickens. It's a farm. He had chickens.
Well, chickens are part of our DNA here in Avon Lake.
And, look how he dressed to go out and tend his chickens. Do you see what he's wearing?
Well, weren't they all dressed up to be a farmer?
Well, I don't think so. Certainly not to go out and talk to your chickens, but maybe.
It might have been a photo op.
You think?
You think?
A photo hop where they could stop people to get off the Lakeshore Electric Railway and stop 48 and go into the chicken area and have their picture taken. Well, let's move on to J. Cox Road.
Okay.
And that's stop 49, so we don't have to wait very long. Get this stuff.
Well,
and then we'll
J. Cox is where I caught my first fish.
Really? Yep. Did you name it the J. Cox Fish?
There was a boat house or a bath house or a beach house at the end of J. Cox. It's no longer there. There's a small little T pier, and I went fishing with my dad and my uncle, and I remember catching my first fish off that little T pier.
Well, there's a memory for you. That'll go down in history.
Yeah, write that down.
But let's talk about J. Cox Road. Where do you think it got its name?
Probably Captain J. Cox.
The J. Cox family who were farmers and owned substantial acreage in that very area, the area of J. Cox Road.
Okay.
And at the corner of J. Cox and Lake Road, on the south side of Lake Road, there was a house that was occupied by a man named Orlando Moore. Orlando Moore was married to one of the J. Cox girls, Eliza J. Cox, or also Elide J. Cox, depending on which spelling you followed. And there is a book that has since been published by a man named Vincent Dempsey, and it's called Cabin Boy. And ostensibly, that story is based upon the author's relationship and experiences with Orlando Moore, who was the captain in that book. So we'll move on along to stop 50.
Okay.
And hopefully you got your invitation. I got mine.
Do it the DAR thing?
Yeah. Stop 50 is, you've heard of Parsons Road, right? Well, Stop 50 was the home of David and Mary Reed Parsons, and Mary Reed of the Reed family, R-E-I-D. Probably more closely associate that with Lorraine. Well, they lived there, and the Reeds had close connection with Revolutionary War history. So Mary Reed Parsons was very active, very involved in the Daughters of the American Revolution. She used to host a lot of parties there at that Reedlands home. It was also called Lilac Ledges. People named their homes.
Well, it must have been quite a thing. I mean, the house that's there now, we're talking Doc Newman's old house, right? On the corner of Jaycox and
Well, but that wouldn't have been the Reed House. The Reed House sustained a terrible fire, and substantial
ah,
damage was done to it. So,
that's
but
gone.
in its day, it was really something. A lot of parties there. Well, DAR parties, so they weren't wild parties. So don't get excited
I
about
don't
that.
know. I know those Daughters of the American Revolution, and they do a little bit of,
Well, I don't judge.
I won't. I won't.
If you want to know more about the Parsons family, though, there's this book that's out called Socialites and Scofflaws, Avon Lake's Past.
It's a great book, and
And
all the money that she gets for that book, she gives to the Avon Lake Historical Society. So if you buy it, we get it.
that's right. All right. Now it's your turn. We're going to get back on Lakeshore Electric Railway, and we're going to go to stop 51. Are you excited? You should
Yes, yes. That's the point of Avon Point.
be. And it was also the site of some
Shenanigans and
very good.
prohibition boozing.
Yep. Avon Lake's claim to fame, its history, prohibition and boozing.
Yes,
So
yes.
there's a fun story that goes along with Stop 51 and Sunset Drive. There was a deputy marshal by the name of Paul McCampbell who lived on Sunset Drive. And one evening in 1928, Paul was sitting in his house eating his dinner, and he glances out the window and he sees some rather suspicious looking activity going on off the lakeshore.
Not fishing. Not fishing, right?
Yeah, well, they were fishing for something.
Booze. They were fishing
Yes,
for booze.
yes. So instead of rushing right out and into the fray, he continues to leisurely eat his dinner, and he keeps an eye on the activity. Now he's finished his dinner, and he's pretty comfortable that he knows what's going on there. So he summons, guess who?
Carl Tominick, the sheriff, he rings him
Marshall.
up on his phone and says, Marshall, we got something going down on Avon Point.
And so Marshall responds. The two of them went out and they made a terrific bust.
Was there gunfire?
No, there was skedaddling.
Oh, they ran, huh?
Yeah.
Skedaddling.
Well, the rum runners ran, the bootleggers ran, but Carl and Paul, they stuck around and they took control over the inventory. I always wondered whatever happened to inventory when they seized that stuff.
Well, we did own a bar in our family. I'll just
Okay, I won't ask any probing questions here.
No, please.
But between Stop 51 and Stop 52, which was Fay, that was a hot spot during Prohibition.
And we continue to tell these stories, and your research is amazing, but I don't think anybody realizes how much of that stuff was really going on. I know I tend to tease about booze and all that, but it's because it was kind of an epiphany, big word, for me when I realized how much of this community was a part of the whole prohibition scene, and from Canada and from Detroit and from Cleveland, and this little sleepy town Shoreline was a hotbed for smugglers.
And as you mentioned that, there's another story that comes to mind. It directly involves the Lakeshore rail cars and booze. And apparently, when conductors on the railroad felt that they weren't perhaps earning quite as much as they were entitled to earn, they would have a little side hustle. We're back to side hustle.
I like that.
And there were occasions on which cars would be stopped and searched by marshals, and there would be suitcases overhead in the luggage racks filled with bottles of booze. And so what would happen when they would seize them? Who do these belong to? And everybody would sit there going, I don't know, it's not mine. So they couldn't arrest anybody.
And then all that booze ended up in Marshall Tominick's basement.
I always did hear those Tomanex had the best parties in Avon Lake.
Oh, I did have my share, I guess. But yeah, that was a fascinating story. And we'll come back in a week and we'll see you again for the fourth trip stop down the Lakeshore Electric Trail. So for now, this is Tony Tominick, and
Jerry Spencer.
we'll see you in a few weeks.